As Nick says, I work at Sky, and my role or responsibility is to evolve our advertising proposition at Sky, ensure that we can future-proof our business, if you like. There's a lot of trends in the market, a lot of talk, a lot of words in the market, in and around these areas that you can see on the screen. When you talk to advertisers, the clients direct, they're asking lots of questions around these areas. When you talk to agencies, the media agencies that we transact with on a daily basis, they're thinking about all of these areas, but they're equally thinking about how they can make money out of all of these areas. At Sky, what we're trying to think about is through two lenses. One, how do we protect the customer experience? How do we enrich the customer experience? As well as how do we deliver effective, it's a really important word, effective advertising solutions. And over the last 5 or 6 years, we've been investing time, money, and effort in competing or building a competing product in this market. And our solution, if you like, in this market is AdSmart. So we've invested close to £100 million in this product to date, and we are continuing to invest. And that's because we believe there's a real opportunity to make TV more relevant to more brands. Historically, TV has been about the big and the few, the broad-reaching advertising campaigns. And what we want to do is to democratize the TV market and the availability of TV advertising. Sky's in a relatively unique position in the UK in that we have all of the component parts required to enable this as a solution. You know, customers at scale, fantastic content, set-top boxes, an ad sales house, a data proposition, and then a few million quid on a targeted proposition, all combined together adds up to something that's been in market now for just over a year in Sky AdSmart. And what it's doing, I believe, is innovating and evolving the way that TV has been traded. TV has been traded in much in the same way as in this era. You know, 12 or 13 or so target audiences have been traded, and you buy the universal spot across the whole of the footprint. Historically, there has been the opportunity for a few regional opt-outs, you know, ITV regions, for instance, in the UK, but that's about as far as it goes. AdSmart for us is a way to enable serving the right ad to the right household at the right time. That's a very important piece. Now, whenever anyone thinks about digital ad insertion or targeting, the natural assumption is that it's an IP-served product. It requires a set-top box to be connected to the internet. In reality, AdSmart doesn't require that. You know, we operate this through the satellite much in the same way as we do our programming content. So the first thing that we do is enable all of our set-top box by sending attributes over the satellite down onto the set-top box. The next phase of that is to enable advertisements, ads to get onto the set-top box. So we broadcast those over the satellite onto the set-top box. And then something needs to tell the set-top box what to do. So alongside that broadcast stream, we're broadcasting metadata, which in effect is telling that set-top box what ads it can show, when it can show them, and what rules are applied to those ads, whether it be regulatory rules, clash codes, all of those sort of things. The dynamic ad serving capability that's out there today on the market does not, to the best of my knowledge, take into account regulation, does not take into account timestamps, not being able to show high-fat salt sugar ads in kids' content, not being able to show certain films or promos, pre-9 o'clock, the watershed, all of those sort of things. So it has to be fully compliant as a proposition. We trade very differently. We've changed the way that we trade a proportion of our TV inventory. It's no longer about ratings. We have to have a different measurement currency. And so we have a viewing panel of 600,000 households which measure second-by-second viewing. Today, the Barb panel, which measures our £4.5 billion market, is 5,100 homes. So more than 100,000 times larger. And that panel we believe has been audited to be representative of all of the activity that goes on in our addressable market. We only charge if an ad is viewed at single speed and at least 75% of the ad. Very, very different to the online model of a single frame or single second. So as I say, we charge on impressions, not on ratings, and the price varies based on the availability of the audience and the demand for that audience. Every single campaign is priced differently. So it's completely evolving and changing the market. We launched on Sky wholly owned channels only, and over time we've expanded the number of channels that we can add smart into. Still just about 7 million households, but we've extended into A&E networks and Fox and channels like that. Over time, we will extend AdSmart functionality onto other media partner channels, so those are the channels that Sky represents. Sky Media is purported to be the largest broadcast sales house in the world. We represent over 123 different channel brands and more than 26 different media owners. And over time, we will extend that functionality into channels that we don't represent in the UK. So whether that be public service broadcasters or other commercial broadcasters that are represented by other companies. So how can you target? At launch, there are 100 or so different attributes you could target against. Just think about that for a second. 12 or 13 in traditional linear TV to 100 or so, and that's a fixed menu that you could select your audience from. So fundamentally changing the targeting capabilities of an advertiser at scale. This type of functionality has been available to some degree in the digital landscape for some time, but we are bringing it to bear on that number one brand building medium that is TV. We've expanded the number of attributes since launch from 100 to nearer 400. I won't ask you to read them. It just illustrates the level of granularity that you can now target or enable your TV advertising campaigns with. So how's it going? So, some key facts. More than 450 different advertisers have been active on the platform since launch, which is, as I say, is just over a year ago. More than 2,000 campaigns. It's now up to about 1.8 billion impressions since I did this a week ago. 78% of the advertisers on the platform are either new to TV or new to Sky. So my paymasters back at Ossily are particularly pleased because I'm delivering against the goals. And of those advertisers, just under 2/3 are returning to book 2, 3, 4, and in some cases 5 times. In terms of new markets or new opportunities, more than 260 different local car dealers have been active on the platform. That translates into about 15 different car dealership networks. More than 500 campaigns, individual campaigns, targeting down to the first 2 letters of the postcode. And the postcode segments, the custom segments, that's where an advertiser can bring their data set to Sky, match it, and then serve ads accordingly, different creative executions to existing customers, lapsed or prospective, is growing at 150% per month. A rate, that's the volume of campaigns, is growing at 150% a month. The campaign value is more than 3 times all of the other campaigns on average, because it's enabling really powerful campaign messages. We are successfully defending TV's revenue streams, but also attracting revenue from the likes of direct mail, from online, from regional press and regional radio. We are giving local advertisers a real choice versus the regional markets. We are giving advertisers a real choice to have that same level of granularity as they can get in direct mail, but now on TV. In terms of those new to TV advertisers opening up new markets, from, as I've already mentioned, car dealerships, online retailers that only wanted to target a small segment of our universe, estate agencies, property developers, brand finance, or big brands in finance, whether it be BlackRock Investment or Investec, are using TV. In BlackRock's case, for the first time ever, Investex for the first time in several years. Theatre tours, events, concerts, all advertising on TV. Previously been the domain of local press or local radio, or in the case of high-end finance, the Economist or the FT and those sort of things, or Bloomberg. It's meaning that we're having very, very different conversations. It's no longer a dynamic between us and a media agency, whether it be WPP, Omnicom, or Regis, or Vivaki. It is a direct conversation in many instances involving the agency, but a direct conversation with that advertiser, understanding their campaign requirements, understanding their desired outcomes, and then delivering a service that ensures that they can meet it. The first question that I get whenever I see a new advertiser is, hold on, it's out of my reach. No matter what price you make the campaign, it's out of my reach. The creative, you need to spend £100,000, £200,000 on creative. You need a Hollywood blockbuster to be advertising on TV. For those of us that have seen, daytime TV, you absolutely don't need a Hollywood blockbuster. But I've got two examples here of campaigns that were made, produced, cleared for less than £5,000. In this first instance, it's a taxi firm in Newcastle, so not your Uber, not your Addison Lee, a small taxi firm in Newcastle.
How much longer are you going to be?
Just go and book the taxi.
Well, how much longer will you be? Use the Dean Taxis app to book, track, and even pay for your next taxi. It's easy and free on your App Store now. Taxi's on the way.
Yeah.
Come on, he's turning our corner now. Search Dean Taxis on your App Store now. Available on App Store and Google Play.
I grant you, that will not be winning any Oscars. But I think it absolutely sits comfortably on television. When you think about the horrendous creative that you see in a digital environment, I'm very comfortable in putting that in front of our customers as subscribers. This next ad is a charity ad. It's a charity based, again, I think it's in the Northeast, but a charity ad that we made for the charity for less than £3,000. An advertiser can get on air for less than £3,000 in less than 6 weeks. Really innovating, I would suggest, the TV market.
Today, there are more than 4,000 children waiting to be adopted. At DFW Adoption, we help people like you become parents. Whether you're single or a couple, and whatever your faith or ethnicity, our skilled team help children find the right family, supporting you during every stage of your adoption journey. If you're the person a child could depend upon, call us or visit our website. DFW Adoption, we find families for children.
Again, I don't think anyone would argue that sits perfectly comfortably on the TV screen. So opening up new markets, opening up new opportunities, and also allowing people like charities, like DFW, who historically thought that TV was out of reach for them. It's changing the way that we have to think about our business. AdSmart as a proposition needs us to be thinking differently, which is why we have built many strategic partnerships, whether it be working closely with Johnson Press as a local advertising reseller or partner, whether it be engaging with specialists in specific market sectors. So we have a car dealership specialist. We're working very closely with data specialists. In one aspect, dunnhumby. dunnhumby is one of our closest data partners that sit alongside Experience. So dunnhumby allows us to target bread buyers, Coke buyers, whatever it may be, buyers. And then thinking about retail specialists, when you're opening a new store, when you're formatting that new store, when you're promoting that new store. So enabling us, or ensuring that we have to think in very, very different ways to how historically in the TV market we used to. So where do we go? Where do we go from here at Sky? A digital advertising business historically has always been based in the IP-served content. We went for the hardest. We went for the 7 million households, connected households, sorry, not connected, 7 million AdSmart-enabled households first, because we thought it was really important to enable inventory at scale. But the challenge that came back to us from our advertisers and marketing partners was that It's great what you're doing for consumers, absolutely brilliant. As a customer, as a viewer, I love the fact that I can get my content on Sky Go, download content on demand via the set-top box, interact with content on Sky Sports, but you're making my life difficult, and I don't like my life to be difficult. The challenge on you, Sky, is to join up that ecosystem, enable us to integrate all of the platforms that we operate on, or that we buy commercials on via Sky. So that was a challenge that was set to us very early on in our journey for Sky AdSmart. And what I'm pleased to be able to say is that we are extending AdSmart across multiple platforms. So 6 or 7 months ago, we launched AdSmart targeting on Sky Go VOD. A week ago, we launched AdSmart targeting on-demand on the set-top box. At the end of this year, we launched dynamic ad insertion into the linear stream on Sky Go. The next phase of that is to seamlessly enable advertisers to sequentially target across all of those platforms. Frequency cap from TV to video on demand to linear viewing, and then extend that audience into online. Fundamentally changing the role that TV platforms, TV content owners can play in the media ecosystem. Enabling advertisers to think very, very differently about how they plan their campaigns. Historically, an advertiser or a media agency used to think about that holistic campaign objective, then plan and buy and execute in silos. By buying with Sky, by partnering with Sky, you can think about those campaigns in a very different way. You can launch your campaign much in the same way as you always have done on TV. You can then sequentially target into the iPad environment when you're viewing on demand, or whether it be in display or whatever. You can remind them when they're out and about, near the car showroom, near that store, near that whatever, based on geo-targeting on the mobile, and encourage people to transact when they're online. A full, holistic campaign user journey. Absolutely changing the role that Sky plays. The challenge that got laid at our door was, that's great, but you can't analyze it. So what we've been working on in the background is closing the loop. And over the next 6 months, we'll be trialing more campaigns to understand the cause and effect of every single campaign that runs on Sky AdSmart by comparing exposed and non-exposed, control versus target. With advertisers' permission, looking at sales or activity, whatever KPI they're looking to measure. Looking to understand which audiences respond, sell, interact, or respond, buy, interact. Looking to understand which platforms are the most powerful in which sequence. Operating no longer as a media owner and an inventory supplier, but operating as a media partner, an advertising partner, a technology partner. Over time, I fully expect the word Sky in an advertiser's sort of mind, if you like, to be thought of more with the likes of Google, Facebook, and those technology players as much as it does think about us as a media owner, an advertising solution, and a bunch of pretty fantastic channels. Thank you very much. That's a whistle-stop tour of AdSmart.